You still are going to be arrested. For what? You don't have any proof on me. No, ma'am, I do. Okay. What's your proof?
GloRilla has just been arrested again, but this time, she isn't staying silent. In a powerful video message recorded from behind bars, she speaks directly to the world, not only defending herself but calling out her own label. The situation is wild, but the betrayal cuts even deeper. Not by enemies, but by a system she once believed was supposed to protect her. Let's rewind. Just days before the arrest, Gloria Hallelujah Woods, better known as GloRilla, had the world at her feet. Fresh off a high-energy performance at the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis, and celebrating the chart success of her debut album Glorious, she was on top of the game. But on July 19, 2025, everything changed, and what followed wasn't just shocking, it was devastating.
GloRilla was arrested in Georgia on felony drug charges and was booked Tuesday in Forsyth County, Georgia. I believe I'm saying that correct. The charges were possession of a scheduled controlled substance and possession of marijuana over one.
While GloRilla was performing in Indianapolis, hundreds of miles away in Georgia, her gated home in the elite St. Marlowe Country Club community became the center of a nightmare. At around 1:30 a.m. on July 20th, Forsyth County deputies responded to a chilling 911 call, an armed burglary in progress. But this wasn't a random robbery, this felt strategic. The intruders knew exactly when to strike. Shots were fired by someone inside defending the home. Thankfully, no one was injured, but the suspects escaped into the night, leaving a trail of fear and unanswered questions. And here's where the story takes a disturbing twist, because instead of prioritizing the manhunt for these dangerous burglars, authorities shifted their focus to something else entirely. The smell of marijuana.
The police said in a statement that I received that while they were searching the unit to see what was taken and just figure out the crime scene, they smelled a strong odor that was consistent with illegal narcotics. And as a result of that, the Linear Regional Drug Task Force was contacted and responded to the resident.
Now stop and think about that. 3 armed individuals break into a home, shots are fired, and the victims do everything right: cooperate, stay safe, and call for help. But instead of going after the criminals, the police pivot the investigation toward drugs. The Linear Regional Drug Task Force was called in. A search warrant was issued. Suddenly, the victims were treated like suspects. Inside GloRilla's master bedroom closet, officers claimed they discovered around 2.8 pounds of marijuana and 2 jars of THC wax, enough, under Georgia law, to bring felony drug charges. The priority had officially shifted away from justice and toward criminalizing the victim.
And in the statement, they say that the reason why they were able to arrest her was because the weed that they found was in a closet in the master bedroom.
GloRilla's attorneys, Marissa Goldberg and Drew Findling, fired back immediately, accusing law enforcement of blowing the situation out of proportion and using the marijuana discovery as a distraction from the real crime. Think about the symbolism here. A Grammy-nominated artist who rose from Memphis poverty to sell out stages and inspire young women everywhere was now being painted as a criminal for what was found in her own house, while the real criminals were still free. Instead of focusing on capturing the men who broke into her home, the police made headlines with a drug bust. Days later, GloRilla voluntarily turned herself in and was hit with 2 felony charges.
Internet is calling out what's happening to GloRilla right now, and honestly, can you even blame them? So earlier this week, GloRilla turned herself in after being hit with felony drug charges. But here's where it gets wild. The whole thing started because her home in Georgia got broken into at like 1:30 in the...
And then came the video. GloRilla broke her silence from jail, and her message spread like wildfire. Her viral tweet read, "Instead of finding who broke into my house, they locked me up over weed. Ain't no protection for people like me." It wasn't just a post, it was a protest. A protest against being criminalized, silenced, and targeted. And it wasn't the first time. GloRilla's life story reveals a disturbing pattern. Every time she rises, someone tries to drag her down. This wasn't just about cannabis, it was about a system that treats the successful black woman as a threat, not a person to protect.
In their statement, they do say this, they are the police down there say, the homeowner is a victim of a serious crime and we are committed to bringing the suspect to justice. This was a statement from the sheriff. But he says at the same time, we must continue to uphold and enforce the law in all aspects of this.
Let's put this in perspective. At the time of the burglary, GloRilla was hundreds of miles away. She had no knowledge of what was unfolding at her Georgia home. But when officers found more than an ounce of marijuana enough to trigger felony classification, she suddenly became the primary focus of a criminal investigation. In Georgia, anything over 1 ounce isn't just a fine or a warning, it can land you behind bars for up to 10 years. So while the burglars disappeared into the night, the artist whose home was invaded faced life-altering charges. On July 22, 2025, GloRilla turned herself in, was booked, and posted a $22,260 bond. But the damaged media coverage, mugshots, headlines was already done.
Not only can I smell alcohol coming from your breath, but I can also smell marijuana coming from this car. Okay? So in just a moment, I'll be searching this car. Is there anything that I'm going to find in this car?
I have a gun registered to my name.
The sheriff of Forsyth County, Ron Freeman, issued a public statement acknowledging GloRilla as the victim of a burglary but stood firm on the drug charges. On the surface, it may sound fair. Law enforcement has to enforce all laws, right? But let's dig deeper. Why hasn't there been the same urgency in arresting the armed burglars? Why are the victims the ones facing legal scrutiny? As of late July, there have been no arrests in the burglary case, no public court dates, and no sense of justice for the actual crime. What we're seeing here is a justice system that seems more invested in punishing a successful black woman than in solving a violent crime.
Regulations are proving or stating that you are over the legal limit to be driving right now. Where to prove it? I just passed everything. I did everything you told me.
And this isn't an isolated incident for GloRilla. Just a year earlier, in April 2024, she was arrested in Gwinnett County, Georgia, during a routine traffic stop. Officers claimed to smell marijuana and alcohol, and despite her efforts to cooperate, she was arrested for DUI, marijuana possession, and an open container violation. Body cam footage showed a GloRilla trying to stay calm, pleading her case. But it didn't matter. Her fame didn't protect her. The arrest followed the same pattern: law enforcement, seeming eager to escalate minor situations into criminal charges. It's hard to ignore how often this pattern repeats when it comes to young, successful black artists.
I did 3 years in jail.
Wow. Yeah, I did.
Except from stealing from Kmart cereal.
Yeah.
That don't sound right. No, I want you to be honest, because you've got this on the paper.
I don't like the fact that you dug that up.
No, we're going to cut the cameras. No, but that, like, you didn't go to jail for 3 years for stealing cereal, right?
Yes, I did.
Cereal?
And it goes even deeper. Before she was famous, GloRilla faced jail time as a teenager for shoplifting cereal. She and her siblings used to steal CDs just to hear the music, their strict religious household banned. Over the years, she's been entangled in lawsuits, from concert tragedies to copyright battles and contract disputes. Every step she's taken toward success has come with a new legal obstacle. Whether it's being sued for missing a meet and greet or accused of stealing a catchphrase, GloRilla has become a lightning rod for legal drama. And now, even as a victim of a crime, she's being treated like the criminal. This isn't just a story about one arrest. It's about a pattern, a system, a cycle, and GloRilla isn't backing down anymore. She's fighting back, and her story is resonating with millions who recognize the injustice in her struggle.